Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of our new weekly review show, Comics Insider, where I discuss some of the biggest new books to come out this week and give you some pull recommendations, what you should buy, what you shouldn't, what I'm picking up, and overall just chat weekly comics. One of the things that the channel was founded on was our comics pull list review show, where we turn everything into motion comics. And I started getting kind of stressed out because I wasn't able to upload them regularly. They took a lot of time, and they were just really work intensive. So the plan from here on out is to try Comics Insider as our weekly review show where we talk the books that we're doing, and hopefully every week we'll be able to do something special for you guys, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But we'll reserve Comics Pull List motion comics for the big books that come out every month or every 2 weeks, as often as I can try and put them out, or whether or not books come out that'll warrant a motion comic review. Also, welcome to our new set. I'm really excited to finally have something a little bit more aesthetically pleasing for you guys to look at besides my bed. And we'll, go through some of this stuff at some point. If you guys want to go more thoroughly into what I have on the walls there, or you have questions, let me know. Maybe we'll do a little vlog about it. But I'm really excited to have this space. We'll be working on the Echo soon. Now, if you don't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for some awesome geeky content. If this is your first time joining us over here, we do comic book collaborations with other YouTubers across the internet, other people in comics. We've done creator interviews, which we have coming up very soon with Brian Edward Hill, and hopefully another special guest in January, but that's not for certain, so I won't go too far into that. We do a lot of story dissection, discussion, conversation about comic books, reviews. We just kind of hit it all. So make sure to like this video if you enjoy it, and check out the channel, subscribe to show your support, and share the video to help us grow. Today we're here to talk about the books that I pulled this week, more specifically, as you can tell by the title and by the thumbnail and by this superimposed logo right here. We're doing a hell of a lot of Batman this week. So this week saw the release of a new #1, a new creative team, and the continuation to a highly lauded series coming up right now. First off, the new #1 that we got was The Batman Who Laughs by Scott Snyder and Jock. I must say, this was a real return to form. Next, we have one of my most anticipated titles to drop in a long time, and it's Peter Tomasi and Doug Mank on Detective Comics. And man, it did not disappoint. We'll get into it later. It's so good. I also got the awesome Mark Brooks variant cover. Spectacular stuff. Next we have, as you all, I'm sure, are aware, Batman Damned. Both covers, just because the book is beautiful. Liebermejo does a spectacular job on the art, and I really enjoyed issue 1, so I figured I would support the book a little bit more. And so those were the big books that came out this week. Now, one of the things that I want to do is try to give you guys a little bit for supporting me so much, and so this week what we're going to be doing is giving you guys a free digital copy of Shazam #1 by Jeff Johns and Dale Eagleson. Now, this book was awesome. It came out last week. I really wanted to talk about it, but just didn't have the time because college. But courtesy of AJ's Comics in Colchester, Connecticut, we're going to be giving you guys a free digital download of Shazam #1 for you to enjoy and read. So, how do you win a copy of Shazam #1? You have to make sure you like this video, you must be subscribed to my channel, and make sure that you're following both my Twitter and AJ's Comics Twitter, both of which you can find in the description below. And I need to make sure that that happens, because we need to make sure that we're supporting local comic book stores like AJ's. They're an awesome shop. If you haven't seen it, we just did a debate with the owner of AJ's Comics, Pete, on Tom King's Batman, and you'll be seeing more from us in the future. But if you do not have a local comic book store near you and you want your fixed comic books, Pete has an awesome service where you can pull your comics online. It's so easy. You pick everything you need online and you can get them mailed to you. You also get a 10% off subscriber discount, and if you wait for your books to accumulate to $100 or more, the shipping's free, no matter where you live. It's so good, and I know that there are a lot of you guys that serve in the military and you don't have any real option to buy this stuff on base. This is a great option for you, and it's a great way to support an awesome comic book store. Now, let's get this party rolling with maybe the most anticipated book for most of you out there, and it's The Batman Who Laughs #1 by Scott Snyder and artist Chock. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, the Batman Who Laughs was one of the Dark Knight characters created via Dark Knight's Metal, and he's essentially Batman's worst fear come to life. Deep within the depths of the dark multiverse, there's a world where Batman kills the Joker. Upon doing so, a toxin is released from the Joker's heart, infecting the Batman. What's crazy is he's a Batman without compassion, without restriction, and without embracing human life in any way whatsoever. So not only is he the Batman, but he's the Batman with Joker's nonsensical attitude, and probably even more dangerous because unlike Joker, he has nothing to prove to anyone. He is a great white shark ready to feast upon the world. Now, many of you guys know I've been really hot and cold on Scott Snyder's Justice League, and I'm really critical of him because he's one of my favorite writers. So if he comes up with something that I don't really like, I'm not going to give it a pass. But man, let me tell you, this is Scott Snyder's return to form. I'm so glad that he's back on a horror book, namely a Batman horror book. The story is freaking awesome. It had me hooked from the get-go. Now, I'll give you guys a little bit of a synopsis. We open up with Batman's first memory, embracing with his family and Alfred, playing games outside, and Bruce is actually on a car chase, I guess, a house chase. It's a big 16-wheeler, big rig, pulling some sort of home, or a mobile home, across the highway of Gotham. Batman makes his way onto the truck, secures the cargo, and instead of finding arms, he finds a deceased Bruce Wayne. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's probably a trick. He ends up performing an autopsy on himself, and it's really him, except it's from some other timeline or some other Earth. I don't know, but I'm really interested to find out. There's a lot more that happens in this book, and like I said, Scott Snyder really hits his stride here. And another thing for me, I know for those of you who have watched me for a prolonged period of time, you know that I've had a problem with Scott Snyder's characterization of Batman Bruce Wayne in Justice League. Well, let me tell you, this is so much more aligned with the way he characterized Batman during his original Batman run, which you know I love. So this book was an absolute smash hit. I would probably give this a 9.5 out of 10. I'm really picky. I thought there was one little plot hole towards the end of the book, but otherwise fantastic. And let's not make sure anyone goes unmentioned. Chock absolutely kills it in this book. One of the things that I like about Chock's art is how abstract it is, but here what's cool is he actually provides a little bit more of a gritty sense of realism, and I still love it. It's still 100% Chock stylistically. The action's there, the depth's there, the little character moments and emotions. Mind you, there's a lot of fear, and also this is the first appearance of the Grim Knight. For those of you who did read Metal, you know that there were a couple different Dark Knight characters spawned from Batman's worst fears, and the Grim Knight is like a gritty Punisher Batman who decides to pick up arms after the death of his parents, and it's really freaking badass, to say the least. So just to summarize all of my babbling, I think this issue was fantastic. I think Scott Snyder really nails the Batman characterization here. He really crafts interesting, compelling characters, and that kind of pushes into the story to make the story interesting and compelling itself. There's a mystery behind this whole thing, and honestly, the last page stinger is something that's going to keep you turning until you realize there's no more pages left. I really enjoyed this issue. And just to let you guys know, if this video can get over 10 likes, I will also be giving away a digital copy of The Batman Who Laughs #1, because I really want you guys to read this. And again, that's all thanks to Pete at AJ's Comics. So make sure that you guys go check them out. The link in the description is down below. And remember, to enter, you have to like this video, be subscribed to the channel, follow both of us on Twitter, and comment down below what book you're most excited for from this week. So next up is my favorite book of the week, maybe even my favorite book of the month, and that's Detective Comics number 994 by Peter Tomasi and Doug Mank. Now, if you guys have been following me at all, you know that I've been talking about this progressively more and more up until it came out. And this did not disappoint. Now, this book was written by Peter Tomasi and Doug Mank, and Peter Tomasi is one of those writers who can literally do any character. The guy was an editor for DC Comics, so you know that his knowledge of the characters and of the universe is far beyond pretty much any normal or even super fan. That shows here in this issue. You could pick up this issue of Detective Comics not having read a single Batman comic, just knowing that his parents died in an alleyway when he was young. This book is incredible. So, I mean, before I talk, can we just talk about the spread by Doug Mank? I mean, I don't know how well you can see it via my camera here, because I'm terrible with the directions. But, like, it's going to be up on the screen in a second anyways, forget it. God, it's so good. So, this really opens up, narrative-wise, with a deceased Thomas and Martha Wayne floating in an aquarium tank. And it's Batman and Jim Gordon trying to figure out what happens. Although Bruce obviously deduces the fact that there was something a little bit up with these bodies. They're not really Thomas and Martha Wayne. Obviously, their bodies would be completely decomposed by now. But upon inspecting the bodies, Batman realizes that every little piece of detail about these bodies are exact to the night that Thomas and Martha Wayne died, which is freaking crazy. The bullet holes aren't even adjusted or misdirected a single centimeter from the original bodies. All the clothes are the same brand, same model. There's even the playbill from the Mark of Zorro that they went to the night that they died. There's just such an attention to detail here, both on the part of the writer, Peter Tomasi, the story, or whatever criminal is perpetrating the crime, and Doug Mank. The art is freaking bulletproof. So what's really interesting is that whatever culprit murdered these people found victims that have the exact same bone structure as Thomas and Martha Wayne. And coincidentally, this all occurs on the anniversary of their deaths. So this book wastes absolutely no time getting into it, as we pick up with Leslie Tompkins in her office being pursued by this crazy bat elemental looking to smash the bat signal on top of her. I have no idea what it is, where it comes from. I'm sure we're going to learn about it, but it is nuts. And one thing that I was thinking about was the title of the arc. It's mythology. So I wonder if this has something to do spawning out of metal with all of the Dark Knights, or, you know, if this is something else entirely. But either way, this thing is nuts. It's this big hulking four-arm beast. And the entire rest of the issue kind of deals with Batman trying to get to the scene on time and coaching Leslie Tompkins through the situation. But we eventually get this really badass action scene between the Dark Knight and whatever this elemental is. And there's, again, with this book, a great last page stinger. I am really interested in finding out where this is going to be going from here. I'll definitely add that I think that this is the best first issue to an arc I've read in a long time. It perfectly sets up the arc. You don't need to know a hell of a lot about the character to get into it, but if you do, you'll love it even more. The art is spectacular. Tomasi does a great job at capturing the pulp, the noir, the detectivisms of Batman, capturing the emotiveness of the character, and by that I mean a lack of emotion. But when Leslie Tompkins, a close friend of his, is in danger, you just see the drive in the character's face, and that is the perfect collaboration between the artist and the writer. Peter Tomasi and Doug Mank did a spectacular job on this first issue. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I really can't tell you how great this is. This is the best Batman book I've read in a while, and you know that that's something coming from me. So next up, we have a long-awaited second issue in Batman Damned #2. Now, if you guys are a long-time watchers of the channel, you know that I did a motion comic review for the first book, I guess it's not technically an issue, of Batman Damned, which you can find right here. If you haven't caught up yet and you really want to know what the story's about, make sure to go check that out. I go through the entire story, give you my thoughts on it, and even give it a rating from 1 to 10. I really enjoyed it. So, it was natural that when it came to issue 2, that I grabbed both copies. Let me start by saying this. This issue, book, however you want to phrase it, is going to be even more divisive than the first one, I think. Especially in terms of, I think, how people will view the quality. I definitely enjoyed the first one a little bit more, but I don't think this was a bad book by any means. The issue kind of kicks off with this beautiful splash page. Beautiful. By Lee Bermejo. And I'll throw it up on the screen so it's easy for you guys to see. But one of the things we play through here is in regards to the end of issue 1. If you haven't, spoiler, the Joker was supposed to have died, but it seems like maybe he didn't. And so Batman is thoroughly convinced that the Joker is alive. The thing that I like about this is the dynamic between both Batman and John Constantine. Constantine is a jerk, and he's going to be pushing Batman's buttons the entire series just as he has been. And you know, if you know about book 1, you know that Batman thinks that he may have been the one to kill the Joker, just because there was a lapse in his memory and he happened to have woken up Gotham Bay below the bridge that Joker was found in. So one of the central themes about this book is dealing with feelings. The Batman that we find in this series is even more damaged, I think, than the one that we'll normally encounter in comic books. Constantine spends some time kind of psychoanalyzing Batman, saying that it seems like Batman has an issue with feeling, and not. This adaptation of Batman has more difficulty emoting anything, I think, even than the Batman that you'll read in a standard comic book. The only emotions that we've really seen from him are, you know, anger, strength, and we're starting to poke at a little bit of fear, and I think that is going to tie somewhere into the young Enchantress that pops up everywhere and that has been shown to be included in his childhood. I think that Enchantress did something to take away those feelings that he's going to consider weak, and that might be why Batman can only feel the more harsh, more begrudged emotions, but we'll see what happens with that. Like its predecessor, this book introduces a couple of the Brian Azzarello Lee Bermejo adaptations to the Gotham mythos and to the DC universe in general. I thought the book was fine. It didn't pull me like the prior issue, but the thing that really interests me are the darker and deeper thematics that we're dealing with. It has a lot to do with pain, loss, doubt, isolation, and a number of other deep, dark, and quite frankly depressing emotions, and I actually enjoy that. I know a lot of people don't like grit for the sake of grit. I don't see it as that. I think it's just tackling emotions that people feel uncomfortable vocalizing. And I think that in the landscape of Gotham, it's not an unfamiliar or unrelated set of thematics to really go by. I would probably give this issue an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It was solid. The art is beautiful through and through. I think that a lot of people are going to have problems with the ending, and I'm not going to spoil it. I got 2 different vibes from it, both of which are predicated on something that happened page before, so I don't have a lot of issue with it. I think the issue was a little bit more slow paced than I had hoped it would be, and I think that we wasted a little bit of time on things that weren't necessary. But overall, it was a solid issue, great art. If you want to pick it up, don't let what other people are saying stop you. It's not a poorly done book. Most of the people that are complaining about this are the ones that feel that this is out of their taste and have no other way to articulate it besides such. By the way, there's nothing wrong with not liking something. I actually had a really great conversation with a buddy of mine on the topic the other night, and we happen to disagree on grittiness versus other tonalities, but again, that's totally fine. Discourse in comic books doesn't have to be a constant battle. And him and I will actually be doing a video on Batwoman Elegy coming up next week, so look forward to that. Now, these 3 books weren't the only things I picked up this week, but I think these were certainly the highlights and the ones that everybody was really excited for. I will give an honorable mention to Hawkman number 7 by Rob Venditti and Brian Hitch. You guys know I love this book. It does a spectacular job at holding in old fans and bringing in new ones, making sense of a mythos and of a character's history that has long been confusing. Make sure you guys go check this book out. It is not selling like it should. I think it deserves to be selling in the top 50 at all times. Make sure you guys go check it out. Whether or not you're a fan of Hawkman or not, if you're an Indiana Jones fan, I think you'll get a kick out of it. It is a blast. Now, I just wanted to remind you to make sure that if you want to win a digital copy of Shazam #1 or The Batman Who Laughs #1, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow both myself and AJ's Comics on Twitter. You can find the links down below for those. Also, if you want to just join us for more great comic book content, story dissections, reviews, so on and so forth, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We'll definitely be putting out more and more content as this year goes through, and we got a lot of big stuff planned for 2019. With all of that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review in the first episode of Comics Insider. And this is Dark Knight Nation signing out. Thank you guys so much.